Grammar 42. The passive voice continued.
Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's Grammar Masterclass number 42. I'll pass you over to our host Matthew Parkinson.
Hello. Thank you, Fred RMC, for the introductions. I would now like to extend a warm welcome to our guests and our viewers. Hello students of Languages 247.
Good evening to you all. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me on your wonderful grammar show.
Good evening everyone. Thanks for having me on the grammar show.
More about passive and active voices. We can also distinguish personal from impersonal passive.
Firstly, personal passive equals the object of the active sentences becomes the subject of the passive sentence.
So all transitive verbs can form a personal passive. A transitive verb means that it can be followed by an object. Example, she built a new house. A new house was built.
Secondly, impersonal passive equals verbs that cannot have an object. They are intransitive verbs. They cannot form a personal passive sentence, meaning there is no object in the active voice that can be used as the subject of the passive form. In this case, and in order to use the same verb in both the active and passive voice, you will need the preposition it. Example, they said becomes it is said.
More examples of transformations. His dog plus to be, plus past participle of the main verb. To leave behind, becomes left behind. We take the tense used in the active voice to conjugate the verb to be in the passive voice. Then we add the past participle of the main verb of the active voice. To leave behind becomes left behind.
Firstly, simple present. They leave the dog behind. Active voice. Their dog is left behind. Passive voice. Secondly, present continuous. They are leaving the dog behind. Active voice. Their, or, the dog is being left behind. Passive voice.
Thirdly, simple past. They left the dog behind. Active voice. The dog was left behind. Passive voice. Fourthly, present perfect. They have left the dog behind. Active voice. The dog has been left behind. Passive voice.
Fifthly, past perfect. They had left the dog behind. Active voice. The dog had been left behind. Passive voice. Sixthly, simple future. They will leave the dog behind. Active voice. The dog will be left behind. Passive voice.
Seventhly, future perfect. They will have left the dog behind. Active voice. The dog will have been left behind. Passive voice. Eighthly, simple conditional. They would leave the dog behind. Active voice. The dog would be left behind. Passive voice. Ninthly, conditional perfect. They would have left the dog behind. Active voice. The dog would have been left behind. Passive voice.
That's all folks for this evening. We hope that it was not the longest or the worst explanation of comparatives and superlatives. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.